Welcome to the 2013 New England Patriot Redraftables. Before we take a look at who the Patriots drafted in the 2013 draft, let's take a look at how they got there with the 2012 season. The 2012 season was the Harbaugh Super Bowl. The Patriots finished 12-4 before losing 28-13 to the Baltimore Ravens on the way to their Super Bowl matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. Brady had another phenomenal year, 34-8 touchdown interception ratio, just under 5,000 yards and 63% completion percentage. Welker, in his final year in New England, had 118 catches and just under 1,400 yards, an awesome year. The issue was a little bit the injuries. Gronk and Hernandez missed 5 and 6 games apiece. So it was really, Brady did a lot with Welker, and then the running game was also phenomenal that year. Stephen Ridley had the best year of his career with over 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. Jerod Mayo and Vince Wilfork led the way to the defense as they were named to the Pro Bowl. The offense finished first in scoring. Obviously, they were a phenomenal offense. And the defense, ninth in scoring. Not bad, obviously. And then offensive, red zone-wise, the best year that they had in some time. Offense continued to be phenomenal with Gronk and company finishing first, and the defense was 13th. This draft really lacked some top-end talent. As you can see on the left side is the first 22 picks of the draft, and on the right side is Pro Football Reference's career average. So some pretty low numbers. There were no quarterbacks in this draft that turned out to be studs, which is why that career average value added is so low. David Bakhtiari is the top guy, and he was a 4th-round pick. DeAndre Hopkins is second. He was 27th overall. Lane Johnson, Eric Reed, Kyle Long. Some good players in this draft, but no real studs that the Patriots missed on, you could say. Jamie Collins is on that list in the top 10 of most valuable players from this draft. Like many Patriots drafts, this was all about trades. Patriots traded their first pick away, which was the Cordell Patterson pick, to acquire Collins, Logan Ryan, Josh Boyce, and then one of the 7th-round picks. And then it was really all about acquiring some veterans. They acquired LeGarrette Blount, Chad Ochocinco, Albert Hainsworth, and Aqib Talib with players from this draft. So a lot of wheeling and dealing, kind of tough to redraft in that format, but we'll do our best to take a look here. As we said, the Patriots had the 29th overall pick coming into this draft, but made a draft day trade with the Minnesota Vikings to give the Vikings Cordell Patterson, who the Patriots obviously got a couple of years later, in exchange for a 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round pick, 4th-round pick, and a 7th-round pick. Kind of an interesting redraft. Collins and Logan Ryan, obviously very good players, but only made it through their first contract with the Patriots, so it's a little tough to redraft because they use some trades and comp picks in order to get value out of them years down the road. So, was their time with the Patriots, 3 and 4 years, worth more than if you take one of these guys? To me, probably it was more valuable, but there's some interesting scenarios here. 2 picks later was Travis Frederick, one of the best centers of the decade, who just retired this offseason. Robert Woods, a very good receiver, they could have taken. He was, so-so in Buffalo, was obviously blossomed in Los Angeles with Sean McVay. And the interesting one to me is Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, the Patriots didn't have a lot of stud running backs in their time, but it would have been interesting to see a guy that could both run and catch the ball. What Brady could have done with him. They missed on a lot of receivers, but they also haven't drafted many stud running backs. That would have been an interesting one to see what Belichick and Josh McDaniels and company could have done with Le'Veon Bell. You do also wonder, though, some of the ego issues that happened in Pittsburgh, would that have been able to stay in control in New England, or would he have been shipped out of town sooner rather than later? The other one on that list is Zach Ertz, and this was a tight end draft of Zach Ertz and Travis Kelce. Both came out in this draft. Obviously, you're in year 3 of Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, and it's a little too counterintuitive to me that you think you would have drafted another tight end there. But what a scenario of having Ertz or Kelce to go with Gronk and Hernandez. Maybe that helps Gronk kind of, with the wear and tear and, screw the whole let's draft receivers. Let's just draft tight ends. It's kind of an interesting what if for the Patriots there. As we said, though, the Patriots did take Jamie Collins and Aaron Dobson. This slide's not going to show too poorly for the Patriots redraftables. Collins, 5 years in New England, obviously 4 originally, and then came back this past year. Signed a 4-year, $50 million deal with Cleveland. But in his time with New England, 66 games, 328 tackles, 8 interceptions, 17.5 tackles, 29 tackles for loss. I mean, an absolute stud. Made a Pro Bowl, I believe, in Cleveland. But a very valuable player, one of the top players from this draft. And then Aaron Dobson, 3 years in New England, never made it anywhere else. Just kind of another one of those busts. He had a good rookie year. It looked like probably they force-fed him the ball a little bit. I don't think there were many receiving options for the team in 2013 outside of Gronk. So they kind of force-fed him a little bit, but never made it in New England. Definitely a bust as a receiver. As I said, this slide doesn't show too poorly for other talented people that they could have taken, but the next slide is going to show pretty poorly of what they could have done. Before we get there, though, let's go a little bit more into Jamie Collins. We showed some of this in the Dante Hightower redraftable. Collins has been one of the most versatile and talented linebackers this decade. The top is the list of 11 players that had over 500 tackles and 20 sacks the past decade. Collins is one of them. And the second list is an even shorter list. Guys with 50 tackles for loss, 20 sacks, and 10 interceptions. To me, those are the guys that are both, just live in the opponent's backfield, but can also cover guys and can make athletic plays, which is exactly what Collins can. Only 3 guys on that list, being able to live in the backfield that much, but also still be involved in the passing game from a pass rush standpoint and a pass coverage standpoint. And Collins is one of those just super talented guys. Patriots had 3 picks between pick 83 and pick 102. 2 of them, to me, are probably the right one. Logan Ryan and Doron Hartmann are on the right side of your screen. Not a lot of other talented players that you would have wanted to pick over them. Maybe Alex Okafor, maybe Akeem Spence down at the bottom, but Logan Ryan, one of the top corners, they just didn't want to pay him the money he got from Tennessee. He got 3 years and $30 million from Tennessee, but he was a valuable player here. 13 interceptions, 41 passes deflected in 64 games with the Patriots. And Doron Hartmann never blossomed into a star, but it was a valuable contributor, especially for a third-round guy. Played 7 years in New England before being traded away to Detroit this offseason. 17 interceptions, played consistently. Very talented player. I think he only missed 1 regular season game in his time in New England, so certainly reliable. Bill Belichick could count on him. They got 7 years out of him, but not a stud like the Joe Tooney, Shaq Masons that they've drafted a couple years later in the 3rd or 4th rounds. To me, the more pressing one is if you look at the left side of the screen, what the Aaron Dobson pick could have been. So Dobson went 59. You had Kelsey go 63, Tyrann Mathieu go 69, T.J. McDonald go 71, Terrence Williams, Dallas, 74. Not a great pick, but and then two just super talents. Teron Armstead, tackle for the Saints, and then Keenan Allen for the Chargers. That's the one that hurts to me. Dobson obviously did not contribute anywhere near where those guys did, and that's the one that you really imagine basically any of those guys in place, that this becomes a lot more valuable of a draft and a lot more talent they could have taken. With that in mind, let's look at the receivers. As I said, this is going to be a theme throughout the redraftables, but just swing and misses, and part of the reason the Patriots, to me, lost Tom Brady and he went to go play with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin because the Patriots just couldn't draft guys outside of Rob Gronkowski. Outside of probably DeAndre Hopkins, Patriots had a shot at most of these guys. Tavon Austin, 7th on this list in terms of receiving yards, but Keenan Allen, Robert Woods, Kenny Stills, Terrence Williams, Marquise Goodwin, all could have been taken instead of Aaron Dobson, Dobson, 16th in receiving yards, Boyce, 22nd. Just guys that just couldn't crack in this league. They were both out in 2 to 3 years. And when you draft 2 receivers, you're really hoping at least one of them hits, and the Patriots just couldn't do it. And that's it's going to be a theme throughout that they could not find guys to support Brady, which is why they were forced to go get guys like Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan. Then you make big trades for guys like Brandon Cooks, but just a theme that the Patriots could not draft receivers this past decade. As we said, the other part of this draft was all about the trades. They had that big first-round trade to go and get Jamie Collins and Logan Ryan, but they also went and made 4 significant trades to kind of get veteran guys in there to support Brady and company. Only one real made a impact on their Super Bowls, but 2 for 2 on late-round picks is pretty good in my mind. Aqib Talib did have a Pro Bowl with the Patriots. in his year and a half with the team. He was traded for a 4th-round pick in 2012. He then went and signed a 6-year, $57 million deal with the Broncos, so good for him to go get paid. And then 2 busts back in 2011, just before camp. They signed veterans Albert Hainsworth and then Chad Johnson Ochocinco. Obviously not great, but for 5th and 6th round picks, you had to take those shots for results like the 4th one, where LeGarrette Blount was traded for Jeff Dobson, a 7th round pick. Obviously, LeGarrette Blount very integral for the Patriots Super Bowls. Helped move on from Stephen Ridley and Shane Vereen, give that balance to Dion Lewis and James White. Very important piece, and that's the positive of when you trade for veteran players. So overall, not a great draft for the Patriots. They drafted 2 real great players in Logan Ryan and Jamie Collins. Doron Hartmann, a good player, but he was the only one that really made it to a second contract with the Patriots. They didn't draft guys like Rob Gronkowski, Devin McCourty, Dante Hightower, but also, no picks inside the top 50. You're not going to draft a lot of top-end talent. So not the best draft from the Patriots, but obviously guys that help contribute to their Super Bowls years down the road. Thank you guys for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe if you are not already. Thank you.